All right, thanks guys. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're having a great weekend. Actually, partied with a bunch of college kids last night. That was a lot of fun. It was a college club, and I made real good friends with the plug, which is that's what the young kids are calling the drug dealer, the weed man. I don't do drugs, but we had a great conversation. He liked my beard, and tell you what, he had the loudest of the loud. You could smell it from a mile away, but anyway, great time. The fiance was getting hit on all night. I'm not a jealous guy. I'm like, yeah, that's my girl. So anyway, great time last night, feeling good. And I got to watch Virginia with that late game cover on the free throw. So all in all, a great night, hanging out with the youngsters who probably thought I was undercover and was just scoping me out. But anyway, felt good. Let's go ahead and get into some lines and personal leans for Sunday's action. Let's start in the NBA. We have the Bucks taking on the Hawks. 12:30 Eastern tip-off in Atlanta. Milwaukee opened 5.5, total 235. Not a whole lot of movement in this one. Just a half a point move upward on the total, up to 235.5. So once again, the Bucks are minus 5.5. Total open 235, up to 235 and a hook. Atlanta's plus 170 on the money line. Snell is out for the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo is questionable for the Bucks. Meanwhile, on the Atlanta side, Dedmon is out for today's action, and Bazemore and Prince are still questionable. Now, Atlanta's covering just 42% of their games on their home court. They're also 0-2 against the number, taking on Milwaukee. The Bucks are covering 68% of their games at the current number. They're also covering 71% of their games, taking on teams under 450. Now, total-wise, Milwaukee is just 17-21 to the over on the road. Atlanta's 23rd in offensive field goal percentage. I think we should see this one stay under. Give me Milwaukee minus 5 after buying the hook, and the under 235.5 in that matchup there. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Once again, I got some lines and personal leans out for Sunday's NBA, college basketball, NHL, and MLB action. But before we go ahead and get into some more of that, just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We are 3-0-1 in our last 4 MLB plays, doing very good in baseball. There's also plenty of free content there as well, so you don't even have to buy anything. I would never implore anybody just to like give me money, give me cash. It's just a patron-based page. If you want to just say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, all your hard work. Here's a couple bucks. That's cool. But just keep watching this program. I don't need you to go to Patreon. But if you're interested, the link is in the description section below. And I don't know how to correct this light situation, because I have not done anything different with the lighting. And I'm getting this blur up here in this area, and I don't like it. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. All starts Eastern Standard Time. On deck, we've got Mavericks, Thunder, 3:30 Eastern tip-off in OKC. The Thunder opened 11.5, total 222. We're seeing good movement on both the spread and the total in this one. A full 1-point move toward OKC when it comes to the spread. We're seeing a half a point move downward on the total as well. Minus 12.5 and 221 and a hook. So once again, OKC opened 11.5 up to minus 12.5. Total open 222 down to 221.5. 52% of the consensus is leaning toward Dallas. 65% shaded toward the over. Right now the Mavs are plus 650 on the money line. Doncic is out for the Mavericks today. Really, really bad news for them and their backers. They're also just 2-12 straight up in their last 14. But, hear me out here, Dallas is 5-1 against the number in their last 6, taking on OKC. If you're into historical trends, Dallas still ranks 8th in defending the 3-ball and 11th in defensive rebounding. And OKC, well, they've been struggling as of late. They're just 2-6 straight up in their last 8, 2-6 against the spread in those 8 games. They failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5 at home. And they rank 24th in home defensive rebounding. Now, total-wise, OKC is 5-1 to the over in their last 6. Dallas 4-3 to the over in their last 7. I like the road dog in this one. I mean, it's a lot of points. They might not even cover. They might lose by 40, but I don't care. I think Dallas is going to get the job done. Give me Dallas plus 13 after buying the hook and the over 221.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Lakers, Pelicans, 6 o'clock, New Orleans. The Pels open 2.5, total 235. Just a little movement on the total upward to 235.5. So once again, the Pelicans are 2.5, total open 235, up to 235 and a hook. Right now, the Lakers are plus 115 on the money line. LeBron shut down for the year. He will no longer be seeing action. Once again, LeBron James out for the season. That was a decision made. Was not particularly an injury-based thing. LeBron is a no-go for the Lakers. Chandler's out today. Bullock questionable. Meanwhile, for the Pels, Davis is questionable. And like I said, Davis is questionable every game. You never know if he's going to play or not, or rest, or has a hangnail. Who knows? But anyway, Davis officially questionable for today's action. Now, New Orleans is third in offensive scoring. They're also fifth in offensive rebounding. Meanwhile, the Lakers have failed to cover in 11 out of their, they failed to win in 11 out of their last 15, just 4-11 straight up in those 15 games. They're also just 5-13 against the spread in their last 18, 0-5 straight up in their last 5 on the road. When it comes to scoring, the Lakers are 5-1 to the under in their last 6. 2 out of New Orleans' last 4 stayed under the total as well. So I'm going to purchase the hook, slide it down, and take the home favorite in this ball game here. Give me the Pelicans -2 and the under 235.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Kings, Spurs, 7 o'clock, San Antonio. The Spurs open -9, total 226.5. We're seeing movement upward on the spread and the total 9.5 and 227. So once again, the Spurs open -9 up to -9.5. Total open 226.5 up to 227. 52% are leaning San Antonio, 59% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Kings are plus 365 on the money line. The Kings are 2-0 against the number, taking on San Antonio this year. They're also covering 61% of their games, taking on teams allowing more than 102 a game. Sacramento is also 6th in road scoring, 3rd in shooting the 3 ball on the road, and they are 3rd in defending the 3 ball away from home as well. Now, San Antonio, they are 23rd in home offensive rebounding. They've also failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5. Now, total-wise, San Antonio's 11-4 to the under in their last 15. Sacramento 4-2 to the under in their last 6. I'm going to buy the hook, slide it up, and take Sacramento +10 and the under 227 in that matchup there. Next game, Wizards, Nuggets, 8 o'clock, Denver. The Nuggets open 11.5, total 224. We're seeing a slight fade of Denver in the early going here. We're also seeing movement upward on the total, up to 224.5, spread at -11. So once again, Denver opened 11.5, down to -11. Total open 224, up to 224.5. 54% of the consensus is leaning toward Denver. And at the moment, Washington's plus 485 on the money line. Now, the Wizards rank dead last in the NBA in points allowed on the road. They're giving up 120 points when traveling. They're also dead last in road defensive rebounding, and they are ranking 2nd to last in road offensive rebounding. Now, on the other side, Denver's been incredible at home this year. They also rank 1st in defensive rebounding. They are 22-3 straight up in their last 25 on their home court. They're 31-6 straight up overall in that same category. Now, total-wise, Washington is 5-3 to the over in their last 8. I like Denver -11, covering the double digits in the over 224.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Hornets, Warriors, 8:30 tip-off in Golden State. The Warriors open 12.5, total 231. We're seeing movement downward on the spread and the total, 11.5 and 229. So once again, Golden State open 12.5, down to -11.5. Total open 231, down to 229. 58% are leaning Golden State, 68% shaded toward the over. Right now, Charlotte's plus 615 on the money line. Now, if you like Charlotte in this matchup here, Cody Zeller is out. He is not playing today. They also failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 on the road. Now, Golden State ranks 1st in field goal percentage. They're also 2nd in offensive scoring and 3rd shooting the 3 ball. Now, total-wise, Golden State is 11-3 to the under in their last 14. Charlotte, 5-1 to the under in their last 6, taking on Golden State. If you're into historical trends, give me the Warriors -11 after buying the hook and the under 229 in that matchup there. Next and final game for our NBA slate. It is going to be Grizzlies, Clippers, 10:30 Eastern tip-off in Los Angeles. The Clippers open -8.5, total 227. We're seeing movement both upward on the spread and the total in this matchup here, up to 9.5 and 227.5. Once again, the Clippers open 8.5, up to -9.5, total open 227, up to 227 and a hook. 68% are leaning Clippers. And at the moment, we have Joakim Noah, Mike Conley, and Parsons all listed as questionable for the Grizzlies. Having said that, though, Memphis has really made do when it comes to the number being injured this year. They're 9-4 against the spread in their last 13, 4-2 ATS in their last 6 on the road. Memphis does rank second in the NBA in points allowed, and they're sixth in they're sixth in defensive field goal percentage. One more thing to add about the Grizzlies, they rank 6th in road defensive rebounding as well. Meanwhile, the Clippers on their side of things, they're ranking just 21st in points allowed and 25th in points allowed on their home court. One final thing about Los Angeles, they're ranking 22nd in home defensive rebounding. So I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it up, and take Memphis +10 in the under 227.5 in that matchup there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into some college basketball. A couple important games today. And I'll tell you what, how exciting is this Auburn team? We got Auburn taking on Kentucky, 2:20 Eastern tip-off at the Sprint Center. Kentucky opened the betting as the 2.5-point favorite, total at 144 and a hook. And since those markets opened this one up, really surprising here, as good as Auburn's been playing, because we saw a 2-point move toward Kentucky. They're up to -4.5. We also saw a 3.5-point move downward on the total, down to 141. Really confusing line moves for me here. I don't know, I guess I'm just a square. I wasn't really seeing that. I wouldn't have been able to predict that either. But once again, Kentucky opened 2.5 up to -4.5. Total open 144 to hook, down to 141 even. 56% are leaning Auburn, 65% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Tigers are +175 on the money line. I'll tell you what, how can you not root for the Tigers? They're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. They're 22nd in scoring and 21st in shooting the 3-ball in the country. A couple more things to add about Auburn. They are 4-2 against the spread when catching the points this year. They're 12-5 against the number after 4 or less days off. Really doing a good job against the number under short rest. And they are 2-0 against the spread in their couple of games that tipped off at the current number. Now, Kentucky on their side of things, they've covered just 6 out of their last 15 after 4 or less days off. So they haven't responded all that well against a number under short rest. Kentucky also ranks 124th in the country in defending the 3-ball, which is bad news for them. They've also covered just 4 out of their last 9 ball games, and they're 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 taking on Auburn if you're into historical trends. Now, total-wise, Auburn is 4-0 to the over in their last 4, 7-3 to the over in their last 10. I got to do it. I mean, I don't know if they'll win outright, but they got to keep this thing close. I like Auburn +5 after buying the 0.5 point and the over 141 in that matchup there. All right, our second game, it is going to be Sparty Duke, 5:05 Eastern tip-off at the Capital One Arena. The Blue Devils open -3, total 153.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of Duke when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing movement downward on the total as well, -2 and 151. So once again, Duke open -3, down to -2. Total open 153.5, down to 151. 53% are leaning Michigan State, 51% shaded toward the over. At the moment, Sparty is +$1.25 on the money line. Now, Sparty ranks 61st in points allowed on the road. They're also just 1-9 straight up in their last 10 versus Duke. If you're into historical trends, Michigan State has failed to cover in 2 out of their last 4 when catching the points. They've also failed to cover in 1 out of their last 2 at the current point spread. They're just 2-2 against the number in their games as the official road underdog this year. Now, Duke on the other side, they rank 8th in college basketball in scoring. They also rank 2nd in offensive rebounding. They're 9-1 straight up in their last 10 ball games, and they're ranking 13th in defensive field goal percentage. We're looking at 39% in that category there. Very, very good on the Duke side. Now, total-wise, Duke is 14-6 to the under in their last 20. Michigan State, 4-1 to the under in their last 5. I'm going to lean Duke Blue Devils -2. and the under 151 in that matchup there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into some hockey action. And we're going to begin with the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Penguins. 5 o'clock Eastern puck drop in the Steel City. Pittsburgh opened $1.55, total 5.5. And we're seeing movement on both the money line and the total in this matchup here. We're actually seeing a nickel fade of Pittsburgh on their home ice. We're also seeing movement upward on the total as well. Minus 150 and 6 flat. So once again, Pittsburgh open 155 down to minus 150. Total open 5.5 up to 6 flat. 66% of the consensus is leaning toward Pittsburgh. 68% of the consensus is leaning toward the over. Right now, Carolina is plus 130 on the money line. Pittsburgh plus 165 on the puck line. We have McElhaney projected in net for the Hurricanes. Matt Murray projected in net for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh ranks 25th in home goals allowed. We're looking at 3.13 goals per contest in that category there. They also rank 29th out of 31 teams in home shots allowed. Their opponents are getting off 34 shots per game on average in that category there. Now, Pittsburgh's just 3-4 straight up in their last 7. They're winning just 45% of their games at the current market price. And they're just 1-2 straight up taking on Carolina this season. Now, the Hurricanes on their side of things, a lot of folks would be deterred by the fact that they're on a second of a back-to-back, but you shouldn't be. They're very, very good in their second of a back-to-back. As a matter of fact, they are winning 75% of their games in the second of a back-to-back this year. They're also 6-13 when McElhaney starts. One more thing to add, Carolina ranks first in shots per game, 35 in that category there, giving themselves plenty of opportunities. They also rank third in shots allowed, giving up just 28 per game in that category there. So really able to control the game through scoring opportunities. Now, total-wise, Carolina is 8-2 to the under in their last 10, taking on Pittsburgh if you're into historical trends. I like the road dog in this one. I'm going to lean Carolina plus 130 in the under. 6 goals in that matchup there. Next game, Boston, Detroit. 7:30 puck drop in the Motor City. Boston opened 160, total at 6. We saw a 50-cent move toward Boston. They're up to 210. We also saw a movement downward on the total, down to 5.5. So once again, the Bruins open 160 all the way up to minus 210. Total open 6, down to 5.5. 67% are leaning Boston. 82% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Red Wings are plus 175 on the money line. Boston plus 120, laying the goal and a half. We have Halak projected in net for Boston. Howard projected in net for the Red Wings. Now, if you like Boston in this matchup here, I really couldn't blame you, but I want you to know that they're just 1-4 ATS in their last 5 taking on Detroit. And of course, when I refer to ATS or the spread in hockey, I'm actually referring to the puck line. So once again, Boston failing to cover in 4 out of their last 5 puck line plays taking on Detroit if you're into historical trends. Boston also ranks 18th in road scoring in the NHL. Now, Detroit, a little bit of a hot streak for them. 4-0 straight up in their last 4 games. 6-1 straight up in their last 7. And they are 4-1 in their last 5 puck line plays at home. So 4 out of their last puck line plays on their home ice have cashed for their backers. Now, total-wise, Boston's 4-1 at the over in their last 5. 5-1 at the over in their last 6 when traveling. Give me Detroit plus 1.5, getting the job done on the puck line in the over. 5.5 goals in that matchup there. All right, next and final game for our NHL slate. It is going to be Flames Sharks, 8 o'clock puck drop in San Jose. The Sharks open minus 130, total at 6. Whole lot of movement in this one. A 15-cent fade of San Jose when it comes to the money line. We also saw movement upward on the total, up to 6.5. So once again, the Sharks open 130 down to minus 115. Total open 6, up to 6.5. 54% are leaning San Jose. 53% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Flames are minus 105 on the money line. San Jose plus 220, laying the goal and a half. We have Riddick projected in net for Calgary. Dell projected in net for the Sharks. The Sharks are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5. They've also dropped 7 out of their last 8 straight up. Now, Calgary, on the other side, ranks 2nd in road goals allowed. at just 2.4 per contest. When it comes to the total, Calgary 6-1 to the under in their last 7, 5-0 to the under in their last 5 on the road. Give me the Flames minus 105 in the under, 6.5 goals in that matchup there, and that is a clean sweep of underdogs for my NHL segment there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into our next and final sport, and it is going to be Major League Baseball, and we're going to wrap up opening day weekend here, and this will most likely be the last game I cap in this fashion, where I'm just kind of picking off of not of a whim, but not supporting my picks through all kinds of data and analytics and trends like I normally do. Typically, I don't cap that way, where I just give you the lines and, oh, I think so-and-so is going to win. So this will be kind of the last game where I just go ahead and dive into that. Look for more extensive data and analytics tomorrow once we start capping baseball there. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Orioles-Yankees, 105 Eastern first pitch. And there's the fiance that was getting hit on last night. All the young guys, totally into her. I was so proud. I was like, yes, yeah, we still got it. What?
Oh, I thought you said something to me.
Well, you're hot.
Thank you.
All right. Baltimore taking on the Yankees, 105 Eastern first pitch at Yankee Stadium. The Yanks opened the betting as the $3.30 favorite. These crazy prices already beginning. Oh my God. There was a point in the baseball season last year where we saw prices opening up at like $4.50. And a lot of times it was like Yankees versus Baltimore or Yankees versus White Sox. But anyway, the Yankees open minus 330, total at 9. We're seeing a significant 30-cent fade of the Yankees on the money line. We're also seeing movement downward on the total as well. Minus 300 and 8.5. So once again, the Yankees open 330 down to minus 300. Total open 9 down to 8.5. 67% of the consensus is leaning toward the Yankees, 52% shaded toward the under. Right now, Baltimore's plus 260 on the money line. We have Bundy projected on the bump for Baltimore. J. Happ projected for the Yankees. I think this is a good spot for Yankees. Good spot for Yankees backers. There's only one play to make if you want to play a side here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to fade the public when it comes to the total. I think Bundy's going to get ripped today. So I'm going to lean Yankees minus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs in that matchup there. We're also going to slide into our next game, and that's going to be Astros-Rays, 110 Eastern first pitch in Tampa Bay. And I'll tell you what, it's tough to go into Tampa Bay and be motivated to play. You know, it's like a beautiful town, beautiful city, and you're playing in like the dark, dingy Tropicana field. And, you know, I've never, I don't want to trash it because obviously, you know, it's nice down there. But as a team traveling, you know, you're going to Florida and it's nice down there, and then you're playing inside. It's like kind of like dark, and the turf in there is like kind of ugly. There's no pattern. It's just, Tampa's a weird place. But anyway, hell of a hockey team. But anyway, Houston at Tampa Bay, 110 Eastern first pitch at Tropicana Field. Oh, nice butt. Houston opened the betting as the $1.20 favorite, total at 8. Not a whole lot of movement in this one. Just a little 10-cent fade of Houston when it comes to the money line. Probably a little recency bias there, but they're down to minus 110. So once again, Houston open 120, down to minus 110. Total remains at 8 runs. 51% of the consensus is leaning toward the Astros, 54% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Rays are minus 110 on the money line, so we're pretty much in a pick'em contest here. Wade Miley taking the bump for Houston today. Chirinos projected to take the bump for Tampa Bay. I think Houston's in a great spot here. Wade Miley has some good stuff. Might not see as much scoring as we think. I think Houston should get the job done here. I'm going to lean Astros minus 110. Great value here, getting the Astros basically in an even money situation. So give me the Astros minus 110 in the under 8 runs in that matchup there. Next game, Mets, Washington. Very interesting series here. And, you know, I had thought highly of the Mets for the past couple of seasons. Their starting rotation is fantastic, but they just have not been able to stay healthy. But I think we're starting to see shades of what the Mets should be. as they start 2-0 so far. But anyway, Mets taking on Washington, 1:35 Eastern first pitch in the nation's capital. And despite how good this rotation of the Mets is, Washington continues to open as the favorite. They open -125, -1.25, and the total at 8. And since those markets opened this one up, Washington continues to take the line move. They're now -140, 15-cent move toward Washington. We're also seeing movement downward on the total, down to 7.5. So once again, Washington open $1.25 up to -140. Total open at 8, down to 7.5. 58% are leaning Washington, 52% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Mets are plus $1.25 on the money line. Zach Wheeler projected on the bump for the Mets. Corbin for Washington. Should be a very, very good matchup of number threes. I mean, if you're going to have a number 3 on your team, Wheeler or Corbin, not a bad option for you. But anyway, I think this is a good spot for the Mets here. I like Wheeler's stuff. I think we should see a low-scoring affair. I'm going to go ahead and kind of bet against the line move. I'm going to lean Mets plus $1.25 in the under 7.5 runs in that matchup there. All right, next game. It is going to be Cubbies, Rangers, 4:05 first pitch in Arlington. The Cubbies open 150, total 9.5. Whole bunch of movement in this one. 25-cent fade of the Cubs when it comes to the money line. We also saw the total move down a full run, down to 8.5. So once again, the Cubbies open 150 all the way down to $1.25. Total open 9.5 down to 8.5. 64% of the consensus is leaning toward Chicago. 61% shaded toward the over. Right now, Texas is plus 110 on the money line. Cole Hamels making his return to Texas, projected on the bump for the Cubbies. Lance Lynn projected for Texas. A lot of times your Hamels games feature a lot of pitches, a lot of runs, a lot of hitting. But typically the Cubbies back him up, and the bats come alive when he pitches. So I think we're going to see some scoring in this one. I'm going to go ahead and fade the total action. That went down. I'm going up. I also like the Cubbies to get the job done. Give me Chicago minus $1.25 in the over. 8.5 runs in that matchup there. All right, next and final game for the show. You're naked. Wow. Unbelievable. I can't show you guys because I get kicked off of YouTube, but you definitely want to see this. Next and final game. I'm so distracted right now. What are you doing? I'm in my final game of the show.
I'm getting dressed.
I know, but damn. Might have to take a timeout. Next and final game for the show. Atlanta taking on the Phillies. 7:08 Eastern first pitch at Citizens Bank Park. Primetime game. Sunday Night Baseball. The Phillies open minus 145, total at 9. And since those markets opened this one up, we're finally seeing a fade of the Phils. 10-cent fade of the Fightins. That might be a 10-cent fade of Jake Arrieta. Who knows? We're also seeing movement downward on the total as well. 135 and 8.5. So once again, the Phillies open 145 down to minus 135. Total open at 9 down to 8.5. 62% are leaning Philadelphia. 57% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Braves are plus 115 on the money line. Wright making his first start for the Braves tonight. Jake Arrieta for the Phils. Jake Arrieta tends to give up some runs, especially in the past couple of seasons. But that's another one of those spots where, like, the Phillies pick it up on the offensive side of things. Should be an exciting game. We don't know much about this Wright character. It did have a pretty decent spring training, but I think the bats of the Phils, what an incredible lineup. You just don't have a soft spot in that lineup. I think the power of the Phils will catapult them over. I like the Fightins, minus 135 and the over. 8.5 runs in that matchup there. I can't wait to watch that game. Playing a little golf today, so I won't be able to, I mean, I stream the games in the cart on the phone, but won't be able to fully digest the games. But when it comes to that Phillies game tonight, I'm going to have my eyes on that for sure. But anyway, that is going to do it for me, guys. Once again, I appreciate you tuning in. I cannot thank you enough for watching this program. Please check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Link is in the description section below. Most importantly, like I said, thank you for watching today's program. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free information. Sorry I was distracted by my naked fiance who was clothed now but was getting hit on by college kids last night. It was awesome. Love it. I told him you were hit last night. It's great. Me, not so much. I was getting hit on by dudes.
By men.
Men.
Yeah.
But anyway, not that there's anything wrong. Hey, I'll take it where I can get it. But anyway, thank you for watching today's program. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free information. And don't forget to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage.